Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Squared Circle Society Live. You just saw a preview of UITV. We have UITV Episode 3 featuring the UEW debut of Rob Black coming soon. I am joined tonight by Producer Tad.
Good evening. I had to change the lightings. I was like fluorescent white.
You got good mood lighting there, Tad.
Now we're in the mood.
And Mike Kruger.
I know.
We're in the mood, Todd. I don't know about that.
I botched it.
In the mood for what?
Speak for yourself.
I'm in the mood for some dark side of the. God damn it! I fucked up.
Giving me some Chris Colt vibes right now.
Yeah. You want to be in that alley with them?
I'm actually really excited to talk about Chris Colt because he's been one of my favorite little wrestling gems. And I'm just glad that he's finally people finally are giving him the publicity on the mainstream thing because that dude's a fucking
and he's like a hometown guy too, right?
Yeah, from Phoenix. Yeah, he's an Arizona. He was really popular in this territory back in the day, and we'll get into that when we talk about it. But dude. There's a lot of I have been a fan of Chris Colt since I was fucking 17 years old. And my buddy showed me and told me the history on him. So again, this is another episode of Dark Side of the Ring where I knew absolutely every fucking thing in that thing, but it was cool to finally see it.
Sweet. We'll get to that one. We got a double feature tonight, but first we also got to promote tomorrow XPW Baptized in Blood 4. And we are going to featuring the debut of the man with the glorious hair, Chilean Jesus himself, Ozzy V, on commentary. Exactly. We're going to make that a thing. If you were watching this, you're going to be
at you know what? He's not even thinking about that yet. You know that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Everybody be sure to recognize your tribal chief. Acknowledge him. Yes.
I'm just going to have Caesar randomly yell, holy shit, it's the tribal chief. And there we go. Then we're off to the races.
Dude, somebody should just throw a rubber chicken in his head, right when he's doing announcing. That would be perfect.
Exactly.
I don't know. Yes. With people in the building this night, I don't know if I should be throwing stuff.
Yes.
This is true. Todd may take a fucking another swift one to the face.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see.
Or you can
bring the neck brace.
Or you can do fuck Cody chants. He likes those as well. We're just talking about Tito beating up Todd, but
we're on a different thing.
Oh, okay. Well, you moved on. I wasn't ready to move on, Tad.
I know you are in man love with Ozzy. It's kind of weird. We all know it too.
He's the tribal chief, Tad. Are you saying you don't?
You want to pet his hair.
Acknowledge him?
You want to welcome him to your nightmare, but
if you really want to scare him, tell him I'm on commentary with him.
You know what? I'm just may have to remind him. His UEW theme song was Diddy.
Oh no!
Oh, I want him to come out to Roman's new theme, though. You gotta.
I might have to stop and get some signs.
Yes. We gotta bring back the tactical gear, the SWAT gear, when we're there next time.
Jesus, that's like 3 gimmicks ago, Dan.
Well, fuck it. It's still funny, Tad. I'm sorry. I still have a SWAT vest signed by.
Yeah, I still got a bunch of them in the garage, but whatever.
Stream XPW. Order that tomorrow. That's going to be insane. If you look at the card, lots of blood.
Fucking Homeless Jimmy versus Dr. Redacted. That alone is
first time ever.
Yeah, first time ever, and both people that have a very similar You look at Dr. Redacted style, it's very Homeless Jimmy-esque, and I think that's going to be a really cool match. And also we got Judge Joe Dredd versus JD Horror, and I think that's going to be a fucking banger too. I just had a match with Judge Joe Dredd last year, and if it's anything like our match, I think Jason is in for a bloody fucking affair that night. But
sweet.
I'm excited.
Dan's
looking forward to the Hardcore Hillbilly Gang thing, but
Did they announce who Schlack's wrestling? Oh yeah, Eric Ryan. And if Eric Ryan loses, he is out of XPW, that's going to be interesting, especially because Eric Ryan's been like on the cusp of like that like main event level, and like they've kind of been teasing him taking the belt. So we'll see where that goes. But I'm kind of excited about that, and I'm wondering also how Ricky Shane Page versus Masada is going to be, because that alone on paper to me sounds like death match of the year.
Yeah,
that's going to be a show stealer.
I feel like that match may have happened before, but I'm not sure. Like it may have happened back in the day in CZW. But I'd have to check.
I believe so. I couldn't tell you the event or anything,
but I want to see that now.
Yeah, but now, like, on the level that Ricky's hands down one of the best deathmatch wrestlers in the fucking world, and he has been for the last probably 8 years. So him and Masada are gonna fucking have a banger.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be awesome. And 5 seconds. I mean, we'll get into the show, but Kruger, you didn't get to talk about it. What'd you think of the scandalous CM Punk footage?
I just think it's so. Like, here's the thing: just that whole situation just made CM Punk look like a badass, in my fucking opinion. So, like, whatever. I mean, it wasn't even that bad. Like, he just choked him a little bit. Like,
it was exactly what he did. It's
the
like
shit, and everybody's like, "Oh, he totally told a different." No, he didn't. Like, there's a fucking great clip of Ariel Helwani's like interview and him like recounting the story, and it's a side by. It's basically exactly what he said. The only difference is he may have threw like a push or a punch. You can't really tell in the video, but at the end of the day, dude, I have seen way worse shit in fucking locker rooms, and at the end, and also like but at the same time, when scuffles like that happen, usually everybody's cool. I think it's kind of stupid. Everybody's like kind of pissy pants about it, and they can't just be like, all right, I was acting like a punk. You've put me in check. Let's fucking let bygones be bygones. But at the same time, in the world of internet fucking wrestling drama, I also get why Jack Perry's trying to get over with it. I would probably do the same thing, and that's probably the smartest fucking thing he can do. But I really hope that doesn't overshadow his career in hindsight. Because I do think Jack is a very talented wrestler, and I just kind of feel bad that he is in this mix, because I think this is something that's going to be very hard as your career grows to just like kind of step out of the shadow of. So I also just think the Young Bucks didn't do anybody, or whoever's decision it was to fucking
Tony Khan,
but like having the Young Bucks endorse it too, I just don't think it did any. I don't think it was good business for anybody. It probably
no payoff.
Well, and the other thing too is just the whole show felt like it was them trying to bury WWE and like doing like, I get the Will Ospreay promo. Like, you should probably respond when you get buried on WWE TV. I get that. But at the same time, maybe not on the same show that they're fucking putting over the CM Punk angle, because it just makes the whole show look like, fuck you, WWE. And that's going to overshadow anybody that worked that night.
It was the Mick Foley change the channel and the finger poke of doom in one night.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the thing. I feel bad for the wrestlers that are there too, because I feel this overshadows anything that any of them did. They could have had one of the best fucking matches of their life that night, but nobody would have remembered it because
talk about it.
Yeah. So it does a disservice to the wrestlers. And again, I'm not trying to get signed by any fucking major company, so I could say this, but I just feel like AEW in general right now is looking very WCW-esque, and I hope
they're making WCW look good.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. They haven't fucking made David Arquette their champion yet, or Vince Russo. So, like, when Tony Khan comes out and wins the fucking belt, then we can say that. But at the same time, it's just not looking good, and it's kind of sad, because this was going to be a really big deal for guys that, like me, that have been grinding on the scene and fucking probably weren't going to get signed because of the way we looked or the way we wrestled. And there was a good alternative for us. And I feel like that alternative now is becoming like if you're associated with that company, there's also going to be this negative connotation to it, especially now. And that sucks. So I hope they pull their heads out of their ass and they kind of just go away from this drama and just start doing their own thing, because that's when AEW was successful, when they weren't focusing on what the other company was doing and they were just trying to produce good wrestling. And I think that's what they need to fucking do. But that's just me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
And Rob Black said, if Jack Perry's more than welcome in XPW, he can use real glass.
Yeah, there you go. But why did Jack Perry not want to fucking use real glass when he was in UEW? Come on now.
Yeah, we remember.
We would have let him.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't ready for that stuff then.
I was going to say it's kind of, the glass thing was always kind of ironic to me, considering.
Well, dude, even for me, like, dude, if I had the option to use fake glass, like, fuck, of course I would fucking do it. I don't want to fucking sit there picking glass out of my ass fucking 7 hours after the show. Like, shit.
Well,
all right. From
glass
from your ass to Harley Race. There we go.
Yeah, dude, this is I'm excited about Mr. Harley.
So, yes, Dark Side of the Ring, Harley Race, the life and legends of Harley Race. So I was kind of curious when they announced this one. Obviously I know Harley Race, but I wasn't sure exactly where they would go with it. I wasn't too familiar with his personal life or anything like that. They run down some of the insane badass stories about him knocking out his principal for chewing him out.
They didn't get into enough of the bar fight shit though, and that kind of disappointed me, because there's a lot more that I've heard from fucking guys that were in the territories with him back in the day, and like I was kind of sad. I wanted more like him ripping people's eyeballs out and fucking bar stories. But
yeah, I mean, they do set the stage though, him working on the Zbyszko brothers farm in exchange for training, because people forget back then you didn't have a lot of options. Like,
no, you usually like, if you go and listen to on the Undertaker's Joe Rogan podcast, he gets into how he broke in. He went to fucking Buzz Sawyer's farm. Buzz Sawyer was fucking drunk as fuck, came out there and was like, squat, just squat, and fucking went back into the house. And then like 2 weeks later, just kept like every day basically had them just come squat. Buzz would probably come out there and stretch them a little bit in the grass, and that was about it. And they were all paying money. And then eventually they showed up to Buzz's house. Buzz was fucking gone on the farm, like totally like left the territory to go to the next fucking town. And that's how a lot of like people trying to break in the business had to deal with shit like that. So Harley was lucky. At least he fucking had a place to like actually train, and it wasn't one of these carny motherfuckers just trying to get a couple of bucks before they made into the next territory.
Yeah, no, it could be worse, certainly. And they do talk about the carnival circuit, Eddie Sharkey and the carnival wrestling circuit in the 50s, the legit shoot matches with locals, and Harley being that plant that they would put there.
Him being the plan, and also being the guy that's just having to fucking rip people apart limb to limb. Like, and I love that they actually, because a lot of the stories, they just think like all the carnival circuit was a work. Fucking more times than not, it wasn't. It was a shoot, just beating the fuck out of somebody that stepped up to one of their guys that knew how to do it. And I also liked how they went into the catch wrestling thing. The double wrist lock was a quick fucking move where, like, if you had a really stout, tough motherfucker that got on top of you, you could pop his fucking shoulder out real quick and the shit's done, like, no matter how big and strong they are. And it goes back into the roots of professional wrestling. And I love that we got that history out there, because not enough people know about that. They don't understand like the handshake gimmick and where that comes from. I mean, it's all straight from the carnival circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was happy to see them dive into that a little bit. The legendary Gus Carras and just Yeah, I really thought it was wild, the Happy Humphrey story that they told, where Harley had to be his handler essentially, and he was so fat he had to bathe him with a mop and hose after matches. Uh, Cliff Booth, thanks for calling it a double wrist lock and not a Kimura.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what the catch wrestling is. I mean,
Yeah.
but it is cool to see that, because especially growing up in the business, from my perspective, when I came into UEW, a lot of that catch wrestling and those like fundamentals of pro wrestling were still taught, and that was, and it brought me back hearing like all the old school shit with the carnival, because that's all shit that Youth Suicide used to fucking talk to me about for hours on end.
Yeah. No, I love hearing those stories, because a lot of that's going to be lost on this generation. So
absolutely, dude. I feel like half of people don't even understand like the roots of pro wrestling. They just know the stuff from the fucking 90s.
Yeah, it all began at the 80s.
Yeah.
Pretty much for most people. It's sad. But yeah, Happy Humphrey, who was ginormous, one of the biggest guys to ever do it.
Yeah, what they say he was like 700 pounds or some shit like that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, maybe even more. Like, it wasn't bullshit with him. I mean, he was a big dude. And just mopping him, hosing him off, and hitting the road and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Harley had a rough life early
really
on.
Rough.
His first wife, Vivian Jones, was pregnant when he was driving her, and a truck hit them and killed her, the baby. And Harley was declared dead as well, but like popped up like a fucking zombie and continued his.
Dude, some of the shit this motherfucker's body went through, like, and he survived. I mean, that's kind of what the legend behind him was, the fact he was still able to work after all these devastating injuries outside of the ring.
Even when he was basically retired and managing Vader, he was still doing that fucking headbutt, and you know, like, he was still physical. He wasn't done. Trained, you know, as a trainer up until not long ago. Like, I mean, he was still.
There's a lot of wrestlers, especially from like the like IWA Mid-South era in the early 2000s. CM Punk, AJ Styles, all of them have like some really awesome Harley Race stories if you ever want to look into that.
Yeah, look at
CM Punk actually infamously, when Harley Race died, said that he had a glass of whiskey for him, and like that was the only time he just didn't not drink in front of Harley, because you kind of couldn't. So like
about having to do the shots.
Yeah,
out of respect, he did the shot with Harley and stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome. They talk about him meeting his second wife, Ivona, who is in this episode. She's a flight attendant.
Kind of felt bad for her, dude.
I'm sure him, like pretty much anybody of that era, was not easy to live with.
Well, and not to mention, just think about the trauma that guy went through, and like losing his wife and his kid at an early age. Like, that's going to be like a void that just nobody's ever going to be able to fill. And I'm sure from what it sounded like, she kind of felt that, like he wasn't able to love her on the level that she needed, probably because of that trauma. And it's unfortunate. Like, this is another case of just the wrestling business really like torturing a soul, and you know, kind of like leading into their vices. On like, it's a lot easier to become an alcoholic and like be able to just drink all your sorrows away when like that culture is kind of welcomed. And when you have all that shit in your fucking personal life too, I mean, it's going to take over. And I mean, it's kind of shitty because everybody has such nice things to say about Harley that weren't like in his family life. But then
I remember, and it wasn't in this episode, but a story where Owen Hart ribbed him by putting like the world's hottest like pepper sauce in his chili or something. And then when his mouth started to burn and he saw Owen laughing, he got his fucking taser out and just started like chasing him and zapping him around his yard. So that was one of the funnier Harley Race stories that I had heard. Probably he was pretty close to Owen because I don't see anybody else living after that. But
Yeah, neither do I. Like living or at least having both of your eyeballs by the end of the night.
unless Harley was up there in the rafters, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unconfirmed, but yeah. So Ivona, she speaks a lot in this. Just how crowds were back then. He's been stabbed 3 times. That whole thing where
Back when guys
that
had to take some heat. Well,
that,
bitches about
that
it.
guy that stabbed him, and then that story where he's just like, where Trevor Murdoch asked him years later, is like, did you really go to his house and shoot it up with a pistol or something? No, it was a machine gun. And I believe it 100%.
Yeah, I believe it too, dude. And like stories back in the day, like when I broke in, one of my trainers, there's a way to run the ropes where you want to keep your heels in, because in Puerto Rico back in the day, the fucking fans would be straight up right next to the ring. And if you were a heel, motherfucker would pull out a knife and slice your Achilles as you're hitting the fucking ropes. So there's like a certain way you're supposed to hit it to where like you protect yourself from shit like that. The business is it's so different and wild. And it's just like, it's unfortunate because I'm glad we have things like this that still like talk about those good old days, because
versus the CM Punk stuff, which wouldn't even be news.
Dude, like it wouldn't even like that wouldn't even be like a problem back in the day. Like, I don't even think that would have like ever left. Like the truth is, it would have never left the locker room.
No one would have known.
Yeah.
No,
way different times.
Yeah. Look at the Miz. No one heard about none of that shit for a long time.
JBL soaking him up.
You know what's one thing I've been doing lately? Speaking of that, is I've been watching a lot of Rene Dupree's podcast, and holy fuck, dude. Yeah. It is really insightful of like what those poor bastards in those early 2000s when you were a green kid. Jesus Christ, the bullshit you had to deal with. Like, oh, some JBL horror stories. In his prime. Some horror stories. And he has Benoit and fucking Holly, like the story with Renee and Holly. Oh my god, dude.
That's right. Those were the
Holly like busted his head, and his like it almost like fucking like it did burst like on a plane. Like somebody I think looked at Rene Dupree and is like, he's like covered in fucking blood because that like blister or boil or whatever.
Yeah, over some like bullshit car rental. Oh my god! And, like, those guys again. Like even the business 15 years ago, total fucking different goddamn world than it is now.
Oh yeah.
But back at Harley Race, the one thing that I wish they would have got more into is some of his Japan stuff, because Harley has some of my favorite matches with Giant Baba, and that like they didn't really touch much on it, and I was kind of disappointed in that.
Harley Race is a tough one. It's like you needed more than an hour.
Yeah. I mean, he deserves a doc. Like, I'm surprised they haven't made a full. Have they?
I mean.
Did the Fed come out with a Harley Race DVD?
I know there's a DVD, but there's no doc on it, right?
There's no Harley Race DVD, I don't believe. No. I mean, he's had matches all over different things, but they've never released a separate Harley Race DVD. I mean, as far as docs, I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube, but
yeah, I'm sure High Spots are fucking.
I'd like to see one of the new A&E biographies do it, because
that would be really cool. Like, especially his story alone. Like, give him like an Iron Sheik style documentary. You know what I mean?
He's a little before the era they cover, but he's big enough, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, he's more than big enough. I mean, Harley Race is. You should know Harley Race if you're.
But is he a big enough WWE guy to get that spotlight? I think.
Yeah, maybe not. But like when you
otherwise it has to be the best of King Harley Race.
But when you have all the stuff that they have the access to the libraries of. I mean, I'm sure you could make something, but he deserves like a real longer than what this like. He deserves longer than 45 minutes because there's just not enough time to cover his whole career, I think.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I'd like to say is just like, God damn, dude, did this show me like back when pro wrestlers just looked like fucking men?
Oh, I know.
like that muscle steroid that is such a fucking Vince McMahon thing, and it's not a pro wrestling thing, and it drives me fucking crazy that everybody associates pro wrestling with just that. Because if you look before that fucking cocksucker got in the goddamn business, everybody fucking barrel chest, barrel guts, fucking drinking a 12-pack before the goddamn match and eating a steak after. Like, they looked like fucking men, and it just I miss those days.
I think Harley Race, aside from anybody with actual fighting background, would beat the shit out of like 99% of anybody in the business today. And
I think you're gonna say in the world. That's
well, but in his prime, like, sorry,
well, dude,
Terry or Punk are getting.
There's a big difference between knowing how to fight and knowing how to hook. Like,
yeah,
when you know how to hook somebody, that's maiming them like for life type shit. Some of the shit fucking Andre taught me, like, probably fucking not the best to teach a mentally unstable human being, because like there's times where I'm just like, I could take you down and fucking make sure you could never walk again, sir. Like, fuck off. Don't start arguing with me. And like that, but back in the day, like Harley would be probably the first one to fucking go down, put his knee fucking right on their knee and snap their fucking leg in half, and they'd never walk again. Like, that's the type of shit. I'm taking
note for Saturday just in case.
Now he would make Tony Khan legit fear for his life if he were in that situation.
How about the Vince thing, dude? Should have just did it, Harley. You should have just fucking did it, dude. You would have saved the business.
That image of Harley Race just rolling into Mark Hogan and then lighting the ring on fire is just
dude. Or just Harley. The fact that Vince thought he was gonna take Harley, fucking shoots a double leg. Like, come on. You shoot a double leg on Harley Race, you fucking idiot.
That's funny. He's like, I choked him out and I left him laying there. Hey, Zombie, what's up in the chat? Cliff as well.
But yeah, as a whole, I mean, Harley's a fucking legend. But while I did like this dark side, there's a lot more that just needs to be told. So I hope eventually we get a good doc for him.
Yeah, I mean, they do run down his first title win in 73. And, you know, basically from 1973 to the mid 80s, Harley was the man, the person most associated with the NWA, you know, before Flair. And just the schedules back then, I mean, part of that territory system, when you were that guy, hour matches every night, insane schedule. No way you were going to have a healthy relationship with your wife. He drops the belt in 83 to Flair. And 83, of course, is when Vince Jr., I should say, was promoted from announcer to owner. They get into the national expansion as that started to begin. And Vince trying to pay Harley Race $250,000 at that time, which was massive money, to no-show Starrcade, which that's just wild to me too. Just all the fuckery back and forth, which might be coming back to some degree. It's just I don't think Tony Khan has enough of a spine to compete in that way. But
maybe you can get Vince to come in.
I still like, dude, there's a big conspiracy theory, like, part of me that is just like, somebody got a phone call and was just like, hey guys, like, get yourself fired, come on. And like Andrade tried doing it first with fucking Sammy Guevara and it didn't work out, and Punk, but Phil was like, yo, like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Let me beat up Luke Perry's kid real quick.
That'll make the news. Don't give a shit about Andrade and fucking.
Yeah. Hey, Alistair.
I remembered we were on air. I almost called him something.
Alistair, you know.
You know, I know that. You know, like, I know that guy and used to work like shows weekly with him for
I
like
didn't
a
know
real
weekly.
for like a fucking year. He came into the Lucha shows I was working. I think he got signed like what 2016, well, or
Aleister
maybe
Black?
2000. No, Andrade.
Yeah.
I forgot what his gimmick was when he wore the mask, but he was a mask guy until he got signed by the Fed.
Yeah. I'm just picturing Triple H like, Alistair, you could just shit in somebody's bag. Or something.
He can stay. He can stay. Fuck him.
Oh, fuck you, Todd. He's great.
Nah.
It's like, Keith, if you stop looking like the Quaker Oats guy.
Damn, bro. Why you gotta do my boy Keith Lee like that?
We already got.
I like him.
We already got bisexual Undertaker. We don't need fucking Malachi, Mecca, Hana. Yeah, what fucking
bisexual Undertaker is great. Todd.
I agree. I turned on him. He went from Aleister
really
Black level
good
to I'm fucking team. Yeah, I'm all about it.
When I saw him do that double choke slam off the fucking middle rope at Elimination Chamber, I was like, I'm sold. Like, fuck it.
Yeah. I want to see the return. The only thing is Tony Khan's not a great opponent, but just that back and forth fuckery. It's like you said. He's like, just take your dick out in the match, and then we'll sign you back when he fires you. They're all gonna start doing that too. You're just gonna see like Jack. The ultimate insult would be if he can get Jack at some point and then just do the feud with Punk.
No, that's
same thing. Same thing.
Dude,
like
that's such big box office. Oh my god! Can you imagine that match would make?
Bigger box office. He just cashes like gives Sting some offer.
I was gonna say gives Sting
to have a cinematic match with Undertaker and call that his real retirement match.
Dude, that would be, oh my god, if they pulled that shit, that would be the biggest fuck you ever. That would be a bigger fuck you. When you remember when WWE was like, oh, okay, TNA in your cinematic match, hold the fuck up. And then they did that cool ass Bray Wyatt shit.
Yeah.
And they were just like, yeah, fuck you. That would be perfect.
We need to make that happen.
I still think like with what Sting and Undertaker could do in the ring right now, they could probably still have a really fucking good match. I don't think either one of them have anything in their moveset. Like, Sting, think about this. Sting, he needs to hit a couple body splashes, maybe a clothesline, fucking Scorpion Death Drop, easy bump, and a sharpshooter. Taker just needs to hit a fucking choke slam, a boot, a leg drop, and a fucking tombstone. That match is totally doable, I think.
Yeah, you might have to gimmick it out a little bit.
Return of the Boiler Room Brawl, just gimmick like it's really happening live, and you just tape it so it looks good.
Yeah. Bring them out for the finish. There you go.
And there you go. The spots they can hit are right there.
Yeah. No, I'm in.
He needs to borrow from Randy Orton and start calling him Jacksonville Dixie. Is to make that a thing. So anyways, back to Harley Race. They tell the pistol story, lighting the ring on fire. The King of the Ring gimmick, him getting hurt in that match with Hogan.
Dude, the idea of your fucking lower intestine rupturing on hitting a table, like, dude, I've hit shit like that with my stomach, and now like I'm gonna be fucking paranoid as fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean it didn't look.
It didn't look like something crazy as hell, but like, yeah, it's little shit like that, especially if it just hits you in the right spot.
And to be that tough, I mean, Harley Race came back with 2 colostomy bags, I believe, and still returns, which is insane. But that all these accidents keep following him. That boat accident where he was drunk and then resisted arrest from the cops
when he was drunk.
Started beating up cops and shit.
There's going to be an asterisk when he was drunk on everyone.
Dude, we just need the Harley Race movie. Like, what the fuck? Come on now. There's enough here.
I'm on week.
It's there.
They just need to do they try to do it on WWE. Just give us live action reenactments of classic road stories, and that'd be a great series. Let's just tell the story of just reenact Harley Race going to shoot up the house or set up the ring on fire. I mean, or fucking Jim Cornette, the infamous Dairy Queen. There's so many stories you could just do them and reenact them all. I'd watch the shit out of that.
Jim Cornette fucking smacking Santino Marella around.
Oh, there you
go. I love that video when Santino caught up to him at that convention and was trying so hard to get Cornette to slap him again or something, and he wouldn't. He was smart enough at that point.
The thing is, that motherfucker is a real shooter. Like, he will fuck your shit up, Santino Marella. Like,
yeah, no,
he's hardcore credentials.
He's a badass. He would have killed Cornette then and there, probably. But yeah, the boat is kind of where we close because that leads to a very nasty divorce. Yeah. I thought one of the sadder things, and he hasn't been gone that long, he passed in 2019, was losing whoever his current wife was at that point that they didn't really get into, and just telling Trevor Murdoch how he was sad, but he couldn't cry. He didn't know how to. That was kind of like going out on a little bit of a bummer, but badass till the end. Yeah, badass till the end. I mean, it's only one Harley Race. Yeah. And do yourself a favor, go back and watch some of his matches, because I know he was
Harley Race, Giant Baba, dude. It's some good shit.
Absolutely. So up next, not as well known as Harley Race, but we have Dark Side of the Ring, CHRIS COLT. Welcome to my nightmare. Jim Cornette calls him the best wrestler nobody saw. In the intro, he's a Hell's Angel, a Comanchero, and a homosexual, I think was like the intro. This was a wild dude. I was familiar with them as well. I never saw him live or anything, obviously, but he had an obsession with death, horrific bullying and abuse as a kid. And he's really known as like the first rock and roll wrestler. There's a lot I didn't know. I didn't know that he was buddies with Janis Joplin or any of that. First guy to come out, Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. He was ahead of his time, very ahead of his time. Unfortunately, I think just too insane, even by the standards of the time, to get signed by
if CHRIS COLT would have fucking came into the business, or just was like, just in general, like maybe 10 years later, and he would have like been a part of that ECW era of wrestling, he would have made so much fucking money. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of people in the business you can go and watch, and you'll just be like, holy fuck, they were so ahead of their time. But because of the level they were at, like, fans just couldn't comprehend that with what the pro wrestling world was at that time.
Oh, this was wild too. They talk about an incident in 1975, a Phoenix steel cage match where Colt was hyped up on LSD and was imagining that giant spiders were climbing the cage trying to kill him.
Yep. And then he proceeded to climb out the cage and attack a shit ton of fucking fans on the way out.
Just beating the shit out of fans, and the cops macing him in the arena, mace, of course, getting all over fans. And just, I mean, it wasn't hard to believe if you were at that event. It's like, man, this is real, and this motherfucker is insane. Because he was. He was legitimately insane. I wish I could have experienced wrestling at that time.
Me too, dude.
Just that era where probably at least 95% of the people there thought it was all legit. You don't have that anymore, and it is a little bit different. But yeah, they go over that. Some interviews with his family, his story about meeting Janis Joplin, not recognizing her, and them getting high together and being buddies. I mean, probably influenced him in not the greatest way, because he vowed to his tag team partner Bill Anderson that he was going to go out at 27, just like Janis Joplin, and he made it longer than that. We'll get into it, but this guy just was all over the place. I mean, he was a roadie for Joe Cocker. He was, just doing all of this insane stuff. The story about that family fight where the grandfather was shooting at their car while they were trying to escape was just like, wow, no wonder you got into professional wrestling. Like, what else could you do? It's a sad episode in some ways, but in other ways, it's hard to explain with this one because he was who he was. Like,
He was the GG. He's like the GG Allen of pro wrestling. Like he lived that fucking lifestyle, but also like it's kind of like commendable that he like lived so hard and like was so fucking like into that shit that like he went out the way he wanted to. The thing about Chris Colt was I discovered him back in 2015. My buddy Lewis was just explaining to me like the history of music and pro wrestling and like when it started and when like entrance themes became popular. And then we got on the subject of just like what were some like really out there gimmicks from like the 70s that nobody talks about. And he brought up Chris Colt and he was like
Chris Von Colt, the Reich gimmick.
Well, no, not even. But he was showing me more of like Chris Colt when he was wearing the fucking black makeup and the Alice Cooper look. But goddamn, when I saw that motherfucker's top rope elbow drop, I was like, Jesus Christ! Like that is like some like just way different than because I watch a lot of 70s wrestling. Nobody was doing shit like that at the time.
Leg drop too. I mean, he was taking some crazy bumps
and very Mick Foley-esque. Dare I say, like with some of the like bumps he would take on the outside too and shit, and just really, really innovative guy. And not enough people talk about him. One of the California guys that brings Chris Colt up a lot, and he kind of emulates a lot of his style to him, is actually Dr. Atrocity from Hood Slam. If you go and watch, they work very similar, and it's pretty dope that he gives that guy his flowers because not a lot of people know about him. But yeah, very innovative guy, and especially if you're trying to study character work on like just like more of like a grungy style of pro wrestling, like that punk style. This was basically where the roots came from.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was another guy. It wasn't easy to get into wrestling. He was, a prostitute, and they run down all of that stuff. He left a lot of notes for a book, so you got to get inside his head a little bit, and what he was thinking during the time. And
I was going to say, I like how excited Dan got when he thought you were going to bring up Chris Von Colt.
Pretty bold. Not the first guy to do that gimmick, but I think
it was even
extra offensive.
It was a big thing back during the actual war.
We did talk about him ages ago. Baron Von Raschke came up, and we briefly talked.
I don't know. Like most of this was new information. I've just heard bits and pieces. I didn't know a lot about him at all. So this was a very refreshing episode for me.
I want more like this because especially these territory guys, and I know in some cases it's hard because there's just not enough people left to talk about them that knew them. But
have they done a Haku Dark Side yet?
I heard he's still laughing.
No, dude, that was the best. He was like, you're just reaching for the gimmick.
I think the thing about Haku, though, I don't know that there's really a dark side. He was just a dude that very nice guy. Like most people say, it's not like he was just beating the shit out of you for no reason.
Yeah, but two of the stories are so legendary that I feel like you could make a fucking episode on that.
Yeah, it'd be a little different. I'd like to see it.
The fact that Tales from the Territory, they're perfect for that.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope we do get more of that.
Just the idea of Haku kicking his flip flop in one motion and then head kicking somebody's eyeball. It's fucking great. That's just a scene out of a fucking movie, dude.
I like. I think it was. Yeah, it was Heyman's kid. Is like, and if anybody fucks with you, you're 2 seats down from Haku.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was high as fuck.
Oh, Haku, dude. Yeah, you can tell.
I don't know. I was talking about Heyman's kid.
Oh, but they were Haku too. I think they were smoking it up.
Well, Van Dam was in the house.
Yeah. Best Hall of Fame speech of all time, like hands down. By the way.
Oh yeah, Heyman was great.
I don't know. Bobby Heenan is still slightly above for me, but he got like 20 minutes, so he did a full set.
Yeah.
They also tell a story about Princess Victoria, the former WWF Women's Tag Champ, who is like basically asked to turn Chris Colt straight. Which I'm sure there's going to be some controversy there again. You know, pimping out the female talent, but
she didn't seem offended.
She didn't seem offended. They do talk.
Sorry.
They do talk also about his California Hells Angels tag gimmick that was basically a gay gimmick. Just nobody picked up on it at the time. It was like a leather gimmick with Ron Dupree, who became his lover, and basically like also like an early guy to get canceled in wrestling in '68 when he burned the flag and the entire Arizona territory lost their TV.
Oh yeah, in Arizona that shit ain't flying, especially back then.
1968, yeah, you can imagine just watching that on TV. Similar to the Gangsters and their Smoky Mountain run. Like, you know.
All right, keep up the good work. One less for us to worry about.
R.I.P. to New Jack's homeboy OJ.
Yeah, dude, they're up in heaven or hell, getting high as fuck right now.
I'm hoping we get a 10-bell salute tomorrow. I pitched it.
Oh yes. Are we gonna get the OJ tag team invitation?
I don't know. I whispered it into Pug's ear, something about a cup. I heard.
That is awesome. Don't miss Baptized in Blood 4 tomorrow. That's gonna be can't miss. So they get into their relationship a little bit, and Chris having that random freak out where his partners are in the car, and Mike Boyette has to basically choke him out because he got so insane attacking everybody. And Mike Boyette backing the car up, going to run him over, like basically just commit a murder right there on the side of the highway. And Bill was able to stop him from doing it. Once again, have to reboot because he's insane.
See, I thought you were talking about his other incident because there's this other one too. Well, there's many more, but I thought we were going to talk about spiders.
Oh, we did talk spiders in the cage match.
The freak out, that's the one I thought you were going with.
Yeah. No, we mentioned that at the beginning, just thinking that spiders were invading the cage.
I have a similar LSD story where I thought I was being eaten by a lizard. Like I was laying in my bed. Okay. I thought the bed was a lizard. And I couldn't get out. I was freaking. I couldn't get out of the bed because there was like teeth and shit. So, I haven't been in a wrestling match doing that though. I know Sandman has a pretty crazy LSD wrestling story too.
Well, I'm glad you weren't on it in that Hellbound cage match.
Oh, dude, yeah, that would have been bad. We had a noose in the ring too. That would have been really bad.
There was some crazy shit that happened. Check it out on.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Yeah.
So believe it or not, next day he was just in Bill's apartment, and Chris tells them they're dropping Mike since he tried to kill him and left him on a highway, and but Bill drops him instead, and that's kind of the end of their partnership. And at that point, Ron Dupree dies in a Washington State show. He spirals, the drug stuff gets worse, but he changes gimmicks. and kind of starts to do the Alice Cooper thing, where we start to see a lot of great shit at that time. Moondog Ed Moretti, who I was a little bit familiar with, I've met him before, talks Chris being banned from wrestling in England because he was just too fucking weird and just creeped people out. And unfortunately, again, he had too many issues to really break out. He no-showed events. By the time he was doing the Chris Von Colt gimmick, he was kind of graduating from cocaine to crystal meth and had to stop wrestling in the late 80s. Worked a long time. I mean, if you had the pleasure of seeing him at any shows way back then, you were probably in for a treat and seeing a lot of stuff that you wouldn't have gotten to see for many more years, certainly in the US. And at this point, he decides to start busting drug houses, pretending to be a cop, which pretty fucking dangerous. They tell a story about him going to this Silver Lake house that was known for running drugs and pretending to be a cop, jacking all the shit and then getting shot at. And then he just drops off the face of the earth, kind of becomes the thing of legend, and someone sees him in an adult film that focused on leather muscle dudes. And I forget the name of the company, but he was still basically cutting wrestling promos, though. They do show, obviously, that they're not showing the Triple X action, but they do show some of these promos he was cutting in adult movies. So still doing all of that. It's not like some sad, depressing thing. It's just what he ended up doing. You didn't get the vibe he was ashamed of it. Just what he was doing.
Punk rock till the day he died, dude.
Basically, yeah. And they talk a little bit about the adult film run and some of the home family footage that was probably not too long before he passed. It looked like 90s footage. You get to hear from him a little bit. And he unfortunately was found in a Seattle back alley and had passed away. Good to see him get his recognition here in this. Somebody that could be forgotten by time, and that's unfortunate because he was an innovator. He was a madman of that era who, if he could have conquered his demons at least somewhat, I'm sure he would have ended up in WWF. He would have been a character guy. The insanity wouldn't quite be Chris Von Colt or Alice Cooper level, but he was talented enough. He would have been given something, and who knows what might have been. It ends up on a journal entry from 1991 where he at least was saying he was clean and sober, and maybe he was, but didn't end up that way, unfortunately, for Chris Colt. But yeah, rock star right till the end. So go watch some matches. There's Chris Colt stuff out there. There's a ton of Harley Race stuff out there. So do yourself a favor and check that out. And I believe we have Chris Adams up next on Dark Side of the Ring. So we'll have that. We're probably getting close to the end of the season.
We have a Sandman episode, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Sandman still.
Let's see if I can look.
Isn't there another pay-per-view themed episode?
Yeah, Bash the Beach, or did we already have that one?
We had that one.
Okay.
I don't think we've had that yet this year.
What?
But did we already do a Dark Side? Or
I mean, it might have been from last season. I know.
Okay, then maybe we did. Yeah, I can't remember. But there's definitely another, like event or something like that. Let's see, what do we have next? How far? Yeah, it only goes up to Chris Adams right now.
I was a big Chris Adams fan. I thought he was very talented.
Let's see. Yeah, I just know Sandman's is coming up too.
Yeah, you got at least a couple more, and we will be covering those. Do you guys have like a dream episode at this point? Because we don't know. This could be it, depending on the Vice situation. Is there like if you could pick one for them to do?
Well, obviously, no. I already got mine.
Who is it?
It was the XPW one. Come on.
Oh, you already got it. Yeah, I'm saying one that they didn't do yet, Tad. I mean, come on.
Well then, Supreme. That's on a dark side, though.
Yeah, that's not
they're not all dark.
Honestly,
some of the stunts and some of the well, not stunts, but some of the like shit that happened to him in the ring. I mean, yeah, I feel like you could.
Well, there's some. See, but I don't even want to talk.
Cliff's got a good one.
So, which one?
Buddy Rose.
Yeah.
I want the UEW dark side of the ring where we just bury the fuck out of Billy Graham the whole time.
I've been itching. I might pitch that as a doc for Stream XPW. I've been itching to do something. So maybe a UEW doc. It's not like we don't have access to most of them.
I feel like that would just need to be a doc on that fucking place though, and not a UEW doc.
What do you mean the doc on the place?
I think 926 Clayla Avenue. That deserves a documentary by itself.
My problem with that is I don't know enough about
everything else. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But like, dude.
But honestly, that could also be included in the UEW.
Yeah, just that fucking place, man. That was a legend. It was legendary for about 2.5 years in California, and it just nothing like it since.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Who would I like to see that they haven't done? I mean, I think it's open.
I think Misawa would be good.
Yeah, that's true.
To talk about his dad. Misawa, Gary Albright. Gary Albright would be a fucking great one, actually.
I can see that that's something they might have planned. I'm
Gary
sure
Albright.
that
he always just gets. Well, no, I was thinking of what's his name.
Oh, Misawa.
No. I was gonna say he always gets lumped in the AWA stuff. I was thinking I can't think of his name right now.
Vern
doesn't matter.
Gagne?
No, I know fucking Vern. No, I was thinking of a talent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Actually, Buddy Rose is a good one. That's somebody else I saw work several times. There's a photo of me and him somewhere.
XPW alumni.
That is
he
true.
showed up to train the Gigolo, Steve Rosado. Why became the Gigolo, Steve Rosado?
That is true. Yeah, shit, I forgot about that. But yeah, so we will have another SCS, obviously, once again, streamxpw.com. Order Baptized in Blood 4 tomorrow because we will be covering it. We'll have a lot of interesting XPW stuff. Be sure to support your tribal chief, Ozzy V, as he makes his XPW debut tomorrow night at Baptized in Blood.
Even better, come buy some UEW DVDs and Blu-rays. I'll have some horror DVDs and Blu-rays too.
Or bring also Ozzy will sign any Roman Reigns merch that you have. So,
I'm trying to make money. Dan's over here just hanging on Ozzy's ball sack again.
Well, he may charge you. I don't know. So, go on over there and buy some XPW Blu-rays, which will be available.
Those too. XPW merch too. Here they're gonna have some prototype hoodies.
Oh, nice.
So there'll be some limited amounts. So I'll be
get to the merch booth early.
I don't have it next to me because it's all packed up and ready to go. And the Blu-ray for Alive and Kicking will be available also. And Kruger, I'm ready. Go for it.
Yeah, before we go, also April 27th in Amarillo, Texas, OXW presents Ain't Nobody Throw a Party Like a Hobo Man Party. Yeah, that's the name of the show. But it's me and Mosh Pit Mike in the main event in a barbed wire frenzy death match. So if you're in the Amarillo area and you want to get your death match on, make sure to show up. I think the show starts at 8 p.m. that night. Saturday, April 27th in Amarillo, Texas.
And if you're free tomorrow night, live from the LA church, it's Baptized in Blood 4. Come see it live. Come say hello to us. Or order it on Stream XPW tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Pacific, I believe.
Okay. So it'll be an 11 o'clock start for me, I believe.
I think so, Dan.
It'll be a late one. Well, I'm checking, Todd. I don't know.
Well,
it should all be one time.
You can see I'm not giving you exact answers, Dan. I said I believe 8 o'clock.
Well, either way, I am stoked, and tomorrow's going to be busy. Region Free Season 3. We'll have another episode of that. Also, a tribute once again, and I do want to thank our listeners as well as anybody else for getting Dave, the late Dave at Savage Zombie Reviews, over 1K. That was sort of a big wish for him, and you guys all came through. He's cleared 1K, so thank you so much. He was a great guy. And on that note, good night, guys, and come again hard.
Good night.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.